So we're going to get into this hive today. I've looked at a lot of these earlier this week, and there's some good honey all up in this top box, and we're going to try to take that. So I'm just going to remove this lid. There's a couple bees hanging out on the top. Let them know I'm coming. I'm giving them a slight puff of smoke. And here we go. So this is the bees hanging out on the front. I'm just going to carefully set that down. And this entire box is full of bees and honey. So this is beginning of, hold on, I guess at the end of October. I was going to say beginning of November. This is a beautiful frame that is full of the fall nectar flow. In fact, you can see possibly some of this comb is broken here. It's almost glowing yellow. The wax comb itself is a beautiful butter yellow. And this is from the Brazilian pepper bush that is blooming all around this entire area. So the bees have done a really great job pulling all of that in. This entire box is full of this, and what I'm going to do is just kind of give that a quick shake to release a lot of the bees. They're not terribly interested in bothering me right now. In fact, I've got a hitchhiker there on my right hand. But it just kind of helps remove a lot of them, and I'll just stash this guy away and bring him home to harvest. But again, full frame. This one frame of honey, once I extract all of the honey out of it, might be enough for 2.5 to 3 pounds of extracted honey. In this box there were 10 frames, so that would mean there would be about 25 to 30 pounds of honey just inside this box. The additional weight, comes from the woodenware. So take a peek in here. Now these are frames that the bees are just currently working on, so they're not full yet. But so there's an example where the frame itself has capped honey at the top, but down below the cells are open because the bees are continuing to fill that up with nectar from the plants. Once the nectar inside has been dehydrated enough to where we would call it honey, then the bees will put the wax capping over the top of it and move on to something else. This area of the frame, they haven't even drawn the comb out yet, so that's why this is a frame that they're just continuing to work on. The other side, for the most part, it's pretty full. So, all right, so that's beautiful. Nice thick comb, beautiful thick honey. Wow. It's a gorgeous blend of fall colors. And I'm going to give this a brief shake, so we'll see if they stay happy. Bees don't always like it when you throw a brush onto them. What I'm going to do is this box actually has plenty of activity in it. The bees are continuing to draw out more comb, bring in the remaining part of the fall harvest. Once again, there's still plenty in here, but it's not fully ready, so we've got a ton of open cells here, plenty of space for the bees to keep filling it up. I'm going to let them keep doing that, and I'm just going to let them have whatever they can put into this box. I'll let them do that and eat that over the winter. I'll eat the rest. But for now, I'll take a new frame I had just replaced, or I will replace the one I just took with this guy. And I would say this hive is going to be positioned really well for winter. What I'm going to do, just for grins, is I'm going to remove this box, and I'm just going to use my tool here to break the seal. Bees will use a product called propolis that they take from the environment and use it almost like a glue to seal things together. There's plenty of bees in here. This next layer is a metal rack with slots in it that all of these worker bees can go through, but the queen is unable to go through. And so we call it a queen excluder. And I'm just gonna make sure that the hive itself is continuing to stay healthy. Make sure they've got plenty of resources down below.
Jeez.
Once again, the smoke doesn't hurt the bees. It just simply lets them know I'm coming. Hopefully calms them down a little bit. I don't need to dig through every frame in here, but what I'm doing as a beekeeper is I'm looking down in between the frames. By the way, there's zillions of bees between every single one of these, so it's a healthy population. What I'm looking for are just signs that the queen is still alive and healthy. I would say just simply by the population itself that she's actually doing just fine. Sometimes this propolis is very strong, and you gotta figure out how to break that seal. Bees can be very friendly. Gotta get focus on there?
Yeah.
This is a younger bee. The younger bees are less likely to sting. It's usually the old, cantankerous, older bees that are month and a half old that are out foraging on the flowers. They won't sting you while they're on the flower per se, usually, but they will guard the hive dearly. And there are so many bees in here, I want to be careful not to crush them. But let's see what we got on these end frames. Okay, so this is just a bunch of comb, and inside that comb there are little discs of various colors in there. Some are kind of a yellow or kind of a orange or red. There's not a ton of it in there, but that's pollen, and that is used to help feed some of the developing larvae in the hive. Adult bees, the bees that you see climbing on this frame, they don't eat pollen. They feed it to the larval stage of the developing bee. So inside here you'll see a few more of the different colored discs. This stuff here that's capped over, that's not honey. That is a different kind of wax capping. It almost looks like cardboard. And this is where we have the pupating larva. So it's the pupal stage of the bee. Once the bee fully pupates, it'll chew through this capping and emerge as a full-grown adult honeybee. Let's see what else is interesting here. These bees right here. So most bees in a colony are female. These bees are the males. Let me see if I can grab one. Let's see. They have much larger eyes. In fact, they're massive. In fact, these bees cannot fit through the queen excluder either, but they are called drones. The reason I'm being so bold with this drone right now is that male bees do not have stingers. So I could do whatever I wanted to this one, and it won't bother me a bit. So it's kind of an interesting fact. Impress people with your bee knowledge. Just go grab drones, and they'll think you're the bravest person in the world. Well, I'm gonna let this hive relax a little bit. It has everything it needs right now. I'm gonna put this little paper towel piece in here. It'll help trap if there are any pests in the hive, like little beetles. that want to hide in different places, this paper towel can be used to trap them in there. In fact, I'll show you this. This is kind of interesting. So this is an old paper towel that I had placed in there before, and what they do is the bees chew it up and it turns kind of fuzzy, almost like part of the Velcro, and the beetles crawl on it and their feet get stuck. So these beetles are actually still alive, but they're not in my honey per se, which is really important. So that's just a non-chemical way of controlling the pest. Oh my God. By the way, even though I'm protected right now, I don't feel threatened by them. Probably because I'm protected. But they're not attacking me. They're flying in the air, but they aren't viewing me as a threat at this point in time. All I'm trying to do is to get them off of the box. They'll end up coming into the front of the hive here because that's their entrance. Right now, they're just trying to figure out where they're supposed to go because they're not literally in the stack of boxes. This is another version of the queen excluder. This one is all plastic, whereas the other one was wood framed with metal in it. Same type of thing. Let's see what happens. By the way, this stuff down here is just wax that they build to kind of bridge between the queen excluder that was in there, well, that's still currently on the hive, and the stuff below it. So that's why you see those ridges in there. They were trying to build wax. Let's see what we got going on here. Again, these on the top cover. There's some beautiful. There's a massive frame of honey in here. Sometimes you get them just absolutely gorgeous. This one just is beautiful. It's glowing yellow, and a side shot, profile, it's really thick on the frame. It's going to be super easy to cut that off and harvest it. That is, I love opening a hive and seeing this inside of it, because this is just gorgeous, gorgeous honey in a frame. I'm going to remove this box. So with this one, we have the cappings over here, which are the honey that we've been looking at, but then over here the cappings are very different. These are the pupating larvae, and there are a bunch of holes in this because they're currently in the process of hatching out of it, and the bees are backfilling it with honey because they've got plenty of space down in the box below where the queen is continuing to lay eggs. Okay, this is fun. I love this one. Never within reach. So let me get the bees off of it real quick. Maybe not all of them. I'll let a few stay on. Let a few stay on, just for grins. But this is a full-sized frame, and it has a beautiful half and half of fully drawn and cured honey here in the top portion, and then you have the bees filling in. So this is a foundationless frame, and this is how the bees would be building it in the wild. I even love the kind of the non-uniform shape of the side there, just as they're kind of trying to make use of their space. But this is fun. This is beekeeping at its best. Calm bees doing their thing, storing their honey, beautiful comb. This is why I like opening the box. So, anyway, I might take that off. It looks awesome.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
So a lot of these frames I have, this is a basic frame that's never been used. Wooden frame, but it's got a piece of plastic foundation inside of it. So whenever we look at a comb of honey that has been made, the bees, you can see where they have built off that foundation and applied their wax, and then that's where they make their cells and fill up the honey. Well, that's how humans encourage the bees to do it. The way God wired them is they could build comb without foundation. So this is a frame that is nothing but the wood itself. And you'll notice I can put my finger all the way through it, sideways, right? So this is what the bees do in nature. Now this one isn't fully filled up. Oftentimes when you have a frame that's on the side of a box, it usually gets the least attention. But if somebody said, hey, I want some comb honey, this is what they're talking about. And you can actually take this, take a knife, and that's what I'll do. I'll end up cutting right around the edges of that, take it off, and I can freeze it. It'll keep forever basically. Or I can put it on a dish, use a butter knife, apply it to a biscuit, and it tastes incredible. This is one that is, this is got the foundation. It's just a different color of foundation. It's actually yellow, so it actually makes everything pop a little bit better. But once again, to harvest this, I'm gonna, on the side view, you can see how the comb kind of sticks out from the wood a little bit. So when I go to harvest it, I'll take a knife and I'm just gonna run the knife straight down the edge of this, and it's gonna remove this wax capping. I'll put it into a machine, brilliantly called an extractor, but what it does is it spins these frames in a circular pattern and slings the honey against the wall of this stainless steel container that I use, and all the honey sinks to the bottom. I let it flow out of a gate into the storage buckets that I'll use later for bottling and packaging. So anyway, that's your Brazilian pepper honey right there, which is awesome. So that I just took the box from, the bees that were blown out of it, they're all trying to figure out, okay, where do we go now? And so one of the things that we want to be careful of, and I'll probably come back, if not this week, within another week or so, and I'll probably just add a second box to that. I might even take one of these boxes once I extract all the honey and put the empty comb back on top of the hive so that the bees have room to expand into. Otherwise, if I've got a ton of bees that are used to living in a house this big and now I've taken their house and cut it halfway down, they might, well, they're gonna run out of space. Imagine your own family trying to downsize for a bit. It could be the same kind of deal.